Thank you so much. In Africa, in most cases, we do things looking over our shoulder. If you put on a pair of shoes, you want to compare yours to the pair of shoes some other person is wearing before you step out for a social function. It could be a wedding, an outdooring, or a naming ceremony. And society has got expectations as to the kind of costume you will put on. And when you arrive at the venue, how you arrive is also a matter of concern for society. Do you arrive on foot, or you arrive riding a bicycle, or you arrive riding a motorbike, or you arrive by car? So we are all victims of this enormous pressure coming from society. But we lose sight of the fact that when we live to only please ourselves and our Creator. And we do extraordinary things to impress people. And in most cases, the people we are trying to impress will not contribute to that impression of opulence we would want to make on them. And where we incur any liability for trying to impress them, they contribute zilch to recuperating or recouping how much you have invested in that unnecessary impression you would have created. I got a short video from a user by the name Ashes Ali, and this has to do with a gentleman who attended a funeral somewhere in Ghana, but it looks like he went there in a borrowed car and the car caught fire, and he and onlookers stood helplessly as what he had borrowed went up in flames. What would he tell the person he borrowed it from? What went into the decision to even go there in a borrowed car? This goes to the heart of the societal pressure we have all been subjected to. And so let me see if I can play the video. I'll play a few seconds of it. Then
Obika. Baba is dragging alcohol. Boss, oh, she has this one counting the BC. It's the BC. Obika, and you're going to say you're sure. Also, she want to
So this guy, they were speaking in the local language and Twi. He stood helplessly. Onlookers could also do very little because it was a freeway. In Ghana, we would say a highway. It looked like an intercity major road. He stood there helplessly. Now, he's going to pay for something he couldn't afford in the first place, because our assumption would be right. If we say if he could afford his own car, there wouldn't have been the need for him to go and borrow somebody's car. But this is a situation where he has borrowed somebody's car and he went for a funeral and the car is up in flames. So what explanation will he give the owner of the car? So please don't allow societal pressure force you to do what you can't afford. Don't allow it. We are all victims of this thing. You want to do things to impress. It's your wedding, and people tell you as a lady, it's your own day. So you put so much pressure on yourself. Some people, even I'm told, contract loans to make an impression during their wedding. It's not worth it. Just live within your means. And in the Akan language, they say ensetie enyepe. You see, the very fingers you have on your hand are not of the same height or length. So some people are created by God to live very modest lives. Some are created to become middle-income people. Some are also created to become, upper-class people. But when you force yourself to do things to impress people, when you don't have the wherewithal to do that, you only run into trouble. But today, people even consider not having a car as a form of failure in life. It is a common cliche to hear people say, oh, yesterday it was so sunny. I saw Johnson or Mohammed or Fatih or Priscilla by the shoulder of the road. She was very intelligent when we were in uni, but life has beaten her. She's failed in life. The way she was sweating. When you go to other countries, top executives go to work on foot. If they have to commute, not commute, if they have to get to work and the workplace is only a block or two away. But in Ghana, it's a crime for an MD to be walking on foot or to be seen walking. They keep asking the MD, Nakano, where is the car? Is it the human being you should put the focus on, or the material possessions that the human being has? So please, don't allow societal pressure to force you to live beyond your means. Lead a very modest life. Make sure you don't punch above your weight, and don't try to impress people. If you are a lady, don't buy a dress on credit until you have been able to put together the money to pay for it. We even hear of cases people want to put up a face, or they want to put up some looks. They can go to a boutique and borrow just for the gallery. And some people even get embarrassed in public because the pair of sneakers he is wearing, he borrowed from somebody. Put on your pair of sandals which is yours and which you can afford. The only one you have to impress is yourself and your creator. The only one you have to impress is yourself and then your creator, as you worship God Almighty, regardless of the religion you belong to, whether Islam or Christianity or any other religion. Let's not allow ourselves to be forced by pressure from friends. You are in the university. There's this little your parents can remit to you every month. You've paid your hostel fees. The little you have to go by, to live by, live within your means. When your friends are going out to eat at big places and you can only afford cooking something in your hostel, stick to the position where God has put you. Don't look at other people. Because, you see, when you look at people that have been favored more by God Almighty than you become ungrateful to God. There is a tradition in Islam, and I won't doubt it if there is a similar tradition in Christianity, in which the Holy Prophet Muhammad, may the blessings and peace of God be upon him, was reported to have said, "Unzuru ila man huwa asfalikum, wala tanzuru ila man huwa a'la minkum," aw kama qala. "Unzuru ila man huwa asfal minkum, wala tanzuru ila man huwa a'la minkum." You should look at those that are beneath you in terms of divine providence, in terms of the standard of living, and don't compare yourselves to people who have been favored above you. So always look at the people that are less privileged and raise your hand in gratitude and thanks and praise to God Almighty for the favors He has done you. Somebody is a leper. Somebody is blind. You have your 2 eyes. You should be grateful to God for that. Somebody is a cripple. These are people with special needs. They are also nice people. There are no limits to the way they can also maximize their potential. You live in a single room. Somebody even doesn't have a room. Somebody is a homeless person. The person sleeps under a bridge. Even in advanced countries, there are people who sleep under bridges, homeless people. So look at the favors God has done you and be grateful to Him for them. Never allow yourself to be coerced by the vagaries of societal impression and pressure. Pressure to impress people when you can't afford it. And to my sisters, the young ladies, you meet a gentleman you want to marry. People want to set standards for you and him. Don't allow them. Don't allow people to set standards for you and him. Don't allow people to tell you how mega your wedding has to be. Ask your suitor, who is your husband-to-be, what his budget is. There are gentlemen, we are told, who contract loans to put up grandiose wedding ceremonies only for them to start off their lives in matrimony, paying off debts. Why would you do that to yourself? So whatever God has given you, be contented with it, and don't allow society to force you to live beyond your means. If it is boys that are gathering, if it is girls that are gathering, if it is a wedding ceremony, if it is a naming ceremony or a funeral, if you don't have a car, you're under no coercion, you're under no duress to go there by a car. You can pick a cab and go there. The essence is to become gregarious and sociable. Your presence as a human being is what is important, not your grand entry into the premises. If you can go by a trotro, take your trotro. Never allow anybody to set standards for you. Live within your means. And if you have to borrow money to buy something, then know that your financial strength is not there yet. Buy something that is cheaper but can satisfy your need. And if you can save up, take your time until you have enough savings to acquire what you want. Our sisters in the universities, don't allow your colleagues push you into becoming call girls, for example, or prostitutes, because your parents can't afford the kind of lifestyle your colleagues are living, or they have other means, other dubious means of putting up an ostentatious lifestyle. So this gentleman, as you just saw in the clip, and I credit one user, Ashish Ali, for the video. That was where I saw the video. He went for a funeral and he went there in a borrowed car, but the car got burnt along the way. What will he tell the one he borrowed it from? So let's not allow society to set unrealistic standards for us. Live within your means. Buy affordable clothing, buy affordable shoes. I'm not even a fan of artificial adornments. Those who put on the wigs and weave-ons, I'm not a fan. You are an African woman. You look beautiful when your hair is natural. If you are a Christian, you can do your hair. If you are a Muslim, you can cover your hair with a scarf. Do things within your means. And the gentlemen, sometimes people want to come home and watch UEFA Champions League. All you have is a single room. You can't even afford to pay for DSTV. Tell them the truth. I can't afford it. I don't have it. You are even in a single room. Somebody is not lucky enough to even rest their head under a roof they can call theirs. So let's try our best. We are all victims of this. You are a newly appointed DCE. You want to stick to your saloon car which you've used for years. Your own family members will say, honorable, you of all people, while others are riding in big cars, why are you not in a big vehicle? If you're an MP and you can be in a very modest car, the essence is to go to work, and Parliament is your workplace. If you can use the money, the loan that you'll be given by the state to do other things, Why force yourself to keep up with the Joneses? And political power is transient. So you may afford to feel a V8 today. When your power goes into opposition, how can you maintain that standard of living? We all live lifestyles to impress people, even though our finances cannot afford that. So in the end, we get ourselves into trouble. And when you get into trouble, the very people you were trying to impress will not be there to help you. So I'm advising myself and advising all other people, and also empathizing and sympathizing with the gentleman who borrowed a car and the car got burnt when he went for a funeral. You could tell he was completely broken down. You don't want to suffer that fate. Whoever he is, wherever he is, we would implore the one who lent him the car to forgive him if he can't afford to give the person a replacement. And the little takeaway or moral we can all take from this is that let you and I live within our means and not allow society put undue pressure on us to do things our finances can't afford. Thank you so much for your time.